Hello, Dr. Paul. My name is William Dickerson. I'm a student of Southern University graduate program with a major in supply chain management, minor in human resources. This evening, I will be discussing Chapter 13, Managing Work Groups and Teams. It's many different situations that could be described as a work group or a team. Many businesses to keep, I guess, ideas crisp within certain individuals, within certain packs, they will put people in work groups, i.e. teams, small teams of different type of individuals to make things move a little faster, a little at a better pace. Teams are a special form or task group that have become increasingly popular within certain groups, within certain ways people can get things accomplished. They function many different ways, different paths. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're bigger. It's a good thing to notice. You might have a supervisor controlling them. Mostly all of them are work related for all function of work and activities. Nothing outside of work activities is basically something they do. A lot of teams, a lot of these groups are people that are from different paths in the company. They put them together for open ideas, for better plans with certain things to make things go a little better than what they usually are going. So a team is kind of a good thing. You would say it's a positive thing. It's a function that would help the get the task done in a better way, in a better function, profitability wise for the company. There's different type of teams. There are problem solving teams, management teams, work teams, virtual teams, quality circle teams. Virtual teams are composed of people from remote work areas, i.e., I guess you have quarantine now. Well, previously, maybe now, quarantine teams where you would have certain people because of the quarantine where they couldn't actually work in the same building together and be face to face with each other. You would have virtual teams. These virtual teams are basically teams that would come from different groups and maybe meet through Zoom, i.e., instant messaging, whatever social service they would use, social functioning media service they would use to meet together virtually to work on tasks, to get tasks done, complete tasks, so on and so forth. Most of these teams are comprised of individuals, per se, for their whatever influent reason that they put them together. I guess management and supervisors would discuss what is the best reason these teams can be together. You might have a certain individual on the team that's good at problem solving. You might have someone on the team that's a management person. You also might have somebody on the team that's the worker, the doer. So within those virtual teams, you'll have these type of people in these teams to make the teams work a little better. A new type of work team is basically a virtual team. So that's something new. That's something we probably didn't have before, but it's something you might as well get used to. You'll probably see more companies going towards virtual teams, remote working environments. I think that also would have something to do with it. With remote working environments, you have people that are working from home. I think it benefits the company sometimes by saying these people don't spend as much utilities having these workers work from home. Actually, it's less risk on the company. If something would happen to them, they wouldn't be responsible for them. So I think that would probably be a better thing. You'll probably see more teams going towards virtual working groups and remote learning. I mean, remote access from home work, because it looks like that's the way of the future. It probably would be hard for these groups to focus with each other. However, I guess they would have some type of way to see if work is getting done. I don't think they would actually film these people working. However, in the group, I guess 24, whatever hours they work together, they're conversing with each other, I guess, to see that if the work is getting done. So that would be very important. I guess with problem solving, the most popular type of team, it consists of knowledge workers who gather together. I guess people that would have knowledge of whatever function they have in that business. These people gather their workload together and solve problems. These problems consist of whatever these problems consist of, but these problem solving people are specialists, you could say, per se, because they are there for their knowledge. They are there for the know-how to get things done. They gather for specific problem solving, whatever problems that they have to solve. Then they disband. So maybe they don't work together all the time, but when they have a problem that needs to be solved, or where they have to have their knowledge and their information to go out, these people come together and solve that problem. Management teams consist mainly of managers, and I guess whatever experience of management they have, that is another type of team. In various functions, maybe they go throughout these remote locations, make sure everything is what it is. They function in sales, sometimes they function in production, they coordinate workers together. A work team is another type of team that's now getting noticed, where I guess you would have individuals together and all they do is solve work problems. They're responsible for the daily work of that organization, and they have to be accountable. I guess they have to produce. I guess that would be a part of the organization where you would see they're judged by their production numbers. That's also a type of group that they have with work. Then the quality circle is another one. And define declining popularity as a quality circle is somebody's compromise of workers that supervisors intentionally, intermittently discuss workplace problems with. The way the workplace environment is going now, I really don't see those type of people or the purpose of that job, especially with remote learning. You have certain individuals that are there, but quality circles is not something that you would really pay attention to. I think the popularity in reality right now would probably be your virtual teams, and just saying that these virtual teams are broken into certain type of aspects, depending on the workload, depending on the work formula, depending on what you want to get accomplished. I haven't had any experience working with virtual teams. However, I could say per se that if I had a virtual team, if I had to put together a virtual team, it would be like a dream team. I would say I would pick the best of the best and maybe put the worst of the worst in the middle of it to round it out. So some of my worst people that I would have a problem with, I'd probably surround them with greatness, because eventually if you surround your problem people, let them be outnumbered by the great people, the greatness will wear it on them. That's my mindset. I see the glass is almost full and not almost empty. So I think if you have that type of mindset, it would be good for the team type situation. You can't have a negative type of mindset when working with teams and virtual teams. The interpersonal attraction has to be good. That's another thing you have to vet people. You have to understand what type of personalities you have. I wouldn't put A personalities with B personalities, because no work will get done. The B personality will crash with the A personality. So even if it's a formal type of class, you have to have some type of informal interaction so these people could kind of know each other. So I would vet all my workers if I was the managers. Not to say they have a commonality in hobbies and ideas that they like to do outside of work, but you would have a commonality, or at least have half of them this way and half of them that way, so you can have a quote unquote democracy, for whatever that is. So attraction is increased when people have similar attitudes and beliefs with one another. You might get more work done with that in place. So another thing I would do outside of work, if it's allowed, is group activities. Ball clubs, some things like that. Group activities are great. It let people understand people. It builds a commonality outside of work. So when they work on these team projects, they could feel a oneness, a uniqueness with each other. I think it's great to have group goals. Maybe you can have some type of group win for these people so they can have some type of satisfaction. Instrumental benefits. So per se, one group is having great productivity. What would be their benefit besides a paycheck? I think you would have to have that to have a foundation of a great group development, team development, farming, forming, storming, norming, and performing. All these things work together. You have to have them work together in the stages of group development. But I think, me personally, in the professional realm, the manager should develop the groups. It shouldn't be the workers. Workers should just, if anything, form together and say, I've noticed from working with you, this is your strength, and we need to use this in form to create a bond of productivity. Because I believe you should put your groups in some type of value system so they can know if they're slacking or if they need to adjust. And I would probably have some type of contract system within my groups to let them know it's real. That based on performance, you have a contract. And if you don't get to the contract and the just of the contract, I will alleviate the whole team from the job. Especially if we're doing virtual type work. With virtual type work, I believe everybody should pull their rank. I would also give the team a way to not be in a prejudicial type way or a stereotype way, but if somebody's not pulling their load, they should have some type of checks and balance for them to know that this person cannot go along like this. And with getting with that role, in every group, there's a certain role within that structure. Each person plays an individual part in that team. So you have to, it's very important, because if one person is pulling more of their work, you'll have an unformed balance system that's going on. So the role structure is very important. A set of defined roles, and everybody should have an understanding of what their role is, to not overstep their boundaries, not to get in a way of over pushing their boundaries. You should have expected role, perceived role, interactive role of what you're going to do. And it's got to be ambiguous. So they have to gel together. And if you have somebody within that per se group that doesn't want to do their job, it makes it bad. And that's where you get to role conflict of roles. And that plays another important part. You can't have one person that wants to do all the work and somebody else just lets them do it. So I would say that's why I would come back in the end and talk about your basic type A personalities and type B personalities. You cannot have these type of people commingling with each other if they don't have that type of personality where they could fall back and say this is for the common good of the team. So role conflicts and role overload will happen if you let certain people take over. You might have a person that's quote unquote make themselves the leader of the team. And that's good to have a leader, someone to have checks and balances. But the way groups are designed, I believe they should have their own checks and balance. You shouldn't be able to have someone with expectations to try to overperform everybody else for their own self-worth. And that's a dangerous thing when you'll have somebody that'll go above the norms of the roles of their job to make themselves look good for a pat on the back from whoever they want. So you have to very much pay attention to that. You have to make sure you have an idea of what people are doing. And as a manager, it's a very sensitive subject. You have to be in control of these people. You have to have a mindset to say, okay, this is my check, this is my balance. If it goes any further, what am I going to do to correct the ship? And this is not to be favoritism to certain people, not to have some type of bond with certain people. You have to be impartial to everybody that's on the team. You can't be like, okay, we don't like him, I don't like him, but does he do his job? And you have to have an understanding with certain people to tell them this is not a friendship zone thing. As long as you can perform a task, that's all it is, even outside of the job. So you have to have some type of cohesiveness when working together. Someone that is loyal to that group. They have to have loyalty to everybody in the group, So that's personally something everybody in that group should have. That's why I say you should get people that have some type of mindset. And I believe vetting those individuals if they're going to be on teams so cohesiveness can be produced. Because with cohesiveness, you will get results, you will get production results. I don't believe in intergroup competition, favorable evaluations on certain people, non-producive interactions with people, messy interaction via IMs, via code words, via jokes. I believe everyone should have a mindset today. This is going to happen. This is the plan for today. This is how far we're going to get today. We shouldn't have any conflict. Certain type of things should be planned as a result of working. And you have to move a certain way within groups. And if your group is not on board with the task, everyone fails. So I feel it's a certain type of individual that has to be in control. And when you have them in control, you get good results. So to pick a team, I guess if you had to have a team leader, I would let the group vote on it. And if it's not a unanimous decision, they will have to figure it out till they get a unanimous decision. And I believe, with that said, everyone has to have a mindset where it's no I in team. It's going to be together. Everyone achieves more. We're not going to have one person pulling the wagon while 5 or 6 people look. And that's another thing. You don't want a big group of people. I think a virtual team would be good with maybe 5 people, 6 people at the most. So that's why you take people that's great in certain things and you find them and make that a full circle of a group. Because they might not all have the same strengths and talents, but binding them together through their strengths and these can cover their weaknesses, you can have a whole functioning team to avoid unnecessary conflict. Someone that wants to change the established status quo, you should have that in notification so these people can get their things done. It's not good to have controlling conflict with people in a group. You might have someone that's been like, I know everything, I've done this before, it's my way or the highway, and they bullying people that work with them. I don't believe in that. I believe everyone should have an identity in these virtual teams, and that's going to probably be the way of the future for the near future. A lot of these companies, I believe, will get down to a point where they'll be making teams. Even if people are working, they might have separate weeks where certain people won't come into work, and cutting down production. This might be affected by inflation. However, whatever it's affected by, I see more companies going to teamwork type of atmosphere. It saves on dollars, saves on manpower, it saves on excess financial hours you have to pay to certain individuals to come to work. If they remote work, you're not responsible for certain things. It puts people less at risk. It maybe puts them in a comfort zone at their house where they can focus more, so they can have strengths when they come across their team. Maybe it keeps them focused. Maybe it makes them motivated to prove to people that they are what they say they are. And I believe people should try to embrace this teamwork thing, especially us. Some of these people that, like, some of us have not worked in the professional realm. Then you have some that are business owners. So as a business owner, if I had to put my workers in teams, I would make them dream teams. And dream teams consist of people that have certain strengths, certain experiences, certain backgrounds, and use that to complete tasks. And the common task would be to make sure you have a strong team, to make sure you have a team that's doable, to provide, be proactive and provocative at the same time. You have to have someone that would be able to move when you say move, or you might need a team that can think like you. So I say vet people. You want them working for you. You want people that have the same mindset that you have, a mindset to be creative, a mindset to be winners, to be prosperous, and to continue to be focal in what they do. So I think that's very important. It's very important when with this team management type of situation, to produce, to be productive, to be creative. And it also depends on the type of industry. And I've noticed some, even all field companies, have went to team type of management where certain teams will go in during the week and they'll work on certain functions. They might work maybe three days out the week, but instead of having all these people at this job, they'll have certain teams together and they stage the work. So this team is working on this part of the project today, and they might not come to work for 3 more days, but they have their part of the project. Their part of the project coexists and commingles with another part of the project, what is worked on by another team, while that can also work, and they work in different locations. And they'll move the things together, and then they'll gel all this together once they finish with it. I've noticed people even build major products like this. So it's something that you could work on. And this team situation is a very lucrative thing if you know how to work it right. I believe you have to have everybody on code. Everybody has to be on the same page, the same step. So everybody has to know their role, their expected role, their perceived role, what is expected from the company. It has to be enacted a certain way. It has to be bought a certain way. And everybody has to know this is the structure. And we also have to have repercussions for people that don't want to follow the structure. I believe being in teams is very imperative. You have to have some type of respect for the supervisors, from the workers. Everyone has to commingle and be cohesive. So you have to have some type of respect structure. So you will not have a worker that'll be like, I don't respect these people, I'm not going to do their job. So you have to have some type of respect level. I don't know how the respect level will come, what would bring about the respect level, but there has to be some type of respect level, some type of acknowledgement for them to do better. You have to work on that. You have to have that pushed. So all these groups and teams have one characteristic together, and that's cohesiveness. Respective roles together that they play. But with cohesiveness, you have strengths, and all these strengths are together. So you would have to do a SWOT analysis on your team and figure out what's their strengths and what's their weaknesses. And if you want to move certain pieces of the puzzle to make this more accountable for you as a business owner, or as a supervisor, or a manager of this business, you want to be in a way where it's if you're held accountable for the action that you do, that you want to provide, maintain a great focal point, and produce success in your business. Thank you.